Do you know any other car that can do this here? That's awesome, right? But goes even better. Look at that. There we go. So, and now I can do this moderation here while sitting very comfortably here in this opened trunk and maybe have some picnic with Leah later on. But for now, she will keep filming me, and I'll put this one back in place again, and I can close the trunk again in a very spectacular way of the Lucid Gravity. A very unique electric vehicle, an SUV, a van, an SUV van, a van SUV, super large, extremely large battery. What's the real world efficiency and range? We're going to test it for you. And how good does it drive? What's the interior like? There will be even more surprises coming up with the 6th and the 7th seat, because this is here a large 7-seater. We're going to find out everything you need to know about this with Thomas Now to Fuel in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the Lucid Gravity. Illuminated strip here, and also the Lucid logo is illuminated. American company. And then the turning indicators in a vertical way, spectacular in the lower fashion. The side profile here is, as I said, it's a very long car at 5 meters and 3 or 198 inches. And you get these wheels here, different sizes. These are the biggest ones, 22-inch in the front, and mixed wheels, 23 actually in the rear. However, the width, it does not differ which wheel size you pick. Yes, the rear ones are always the larger ones, 285 in the rear, 265 in the front in millimeters. You would start at 20 in the front, 21 rear, then 21 front, 22 rear, and then the top 22 front, 23 rear. The width is the same. However, the consumption is still worse for these ones because of aerodynamics here, these large openings. If there would be aero wheels, then maybe the difference would not be that large. And you can see here, it's kind of a van shape. This one is also the stealth design. That's why this area is also a little bit darker. You can also get it a little bit brighter, actually. And in the rear, I mean, yeah, some mix of SUV and van, I would call it that way. And once again, beautiful three-dimensional styling here for the lettering and also the light integration. It is a very clean design, definitely. Or what do you think about that? Then about the battery, it's also very large, 123 kilowatt hours for the Grand Touring. This is the large battery version. There is also an entry-level version available with 89 kilowatt hours. However, it's a large vehicle. It will probably also not be the lowest in consumption. We'll do the motorway test here today for you. Therefore, it might be wise to go for the big battery. Here, 22 kilowatt AC charging and a charging peak DC of 400 kilowatt. 10 to 80% state of charge in some 23-24 minutes, something about that in ideal cases. And the charging curve is also supposed to be pretty good, so that the 200 kilowatt is held until 70%. So very quick in charging, large battery. And we'll do the motorway test today at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and 120 kilometers an hour, 75 miles per hour, to see what real-world range we can score with that one. And we also, of course, do an acceleration and also some winding corners, because this one here, I mean, look at that vehicle here, and it's a 7-seater for the family, basically, and it accelerates here in the Grand Touring version in 3.6 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Yeah. This will be very exciting indeed. But before we move to the interior, one more interesting tech aspect. The one-chamber air suspension is standard. Optional, a 3-chamber air suspension, then together with rear axle steering, and then up to 3 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels. The rear wheels can turn, and this really, really helps to maneuver this large vehicle around corners for parking in, parking out, and so on.
It's Leah here, and have you noticed that Thomas missed 2 special features in the front here? Let me show you.
That's hard to press, right?
Yeah, really. So, first of all, the power socket here. Can charge your phone or use the hairdryer there. And the second one is the, Thomas, I need it, Thank you. The cup holders. Ah, that's a nice feature, right?
Actually, not only for one side.
Yeah, for the other side as well. Really nice.
So is it comfortable then?
Yes, really comfortable. Yep. And here's another button to close it. So hold that and yes. Ta-da!
Then here, the key fob. These buttons are really hard to press though, I gotta say that, so maybe they could fix that. And then here, when I open it, or just approach the vehicle here, the door handles, they come out like this, and then, yeah, they move a little bit, but maybe not the most ideal one, let's take it that way. We have here, soft close. There we go. The panel gaps, by the way, here in the front, looks okay, but there are certain areas, for example here, you see this overlap here. So these are the famous German Spaltmaße. So that's maybe something they could improve a little bit further. And then here, you also have the laminated windows already in the front. It's actually for all the windows, so that's also very silent. And I can already tell you right now, it will be silent on the motorway here. These front doors open very wide. Then the high-grade leatherette on top here, also soft underneath, fabric inset, this beautiful scheme, also in here with the matte wood, so it's lovely, you know, how it's made. Also standard window levers. Also here, the inside of the door is covered fully with leatherette, well done. The only thing here I don't like that much is this door opener from the inside. Like, why would you do it that way? It kind of feels weird though.
Looks clean now, yeah.
Yeah, it looks clean from here, but the thing is like, this door is like perfect from the build quality, and everyone's like, oh my god, this, wow, and the matte wood and grace, and then, oh, I want to get out of the car, and then like, huh? So why?
And it's plastic. So
Yeah,
don't
that's
feel that
so
nice,
it
yeah.
doesn't fit to the rest of the build quality. Let's take it that way. Then the entry badge here. There's also the Mojave trim. There's also a very beautiful trim here on the inside. Actually, here the steering wheel, flat top, flat bottom. Then these are capacitive buttons here. Not my favorite, but the lower ones you can actually press. This is like a favorite button here on the right lower side. And these seats here. These are also the high-grade leatherette seats. Optional, you can also get animal skin, but these here are really nice in the build quality. Very soft, good quality also here in the sit-bone area. You can also make this part here a little bit longer, all electric seats. And they also offer very nice comfort, so I can only recommend this trim then here. You can move it forward, backward, electric, of course here, lumbar support. This for the back part, this is the lumbar support, and then there's also a seat massage available in different forms: rolling, unwind, wave, stretch, and deep. And two modes of these, like here, oh, unwind. Not sure if you can even hear that on the microphone. This has a seat vibration. It's like oh, that's the stuff. Gives you the shivers, but in a positive way. This is crazy because I think it really like relieves the facial tissue, like the deep tissue there. Oh wow, that's crazy. Because I mean, some massage functions, they are like just lumbar support in and out, and it's like doesn't make sense. But this one here, I mean, due to this vibration massage, it really, you know, relieves tension from the muscles and so on. And wow, this is really like goosebumps. This is really crazy. And also these functions, like the wave functions, you feel that it's not only the lumbar support going in and out. They're really like individual dots, you know, massaging you like the cat paw massage style. This is really amazing. So it's a great massage feature. I can just recommend this one. So great luxury features, and of course heating and cooling here with these perforated leatherette seats. So this is a perfect trim. I mean, you can argue about the exterior color, of course, picked it differently or something. This is called Aurora, this green, by the way, but this is really probably the trim to go for. You can also, of course, also pick this same material in different colors as well. And then you might know the Tesla Model X, taking inspiration, a lot of headroom, don't need to discuss that. And then you have this panoramic glass here, and then these attached sun blinds. They can be even extended here like this. This is nice. And then also with Tesla-like magnetic covers then here for the light. The thing is that when you're going like on a road trip and you have such a great panoramic view to the front, you can really enjoy the landscape. And I just keep unwinding my muscle. I think I gotta go get back to you in 20 minutes. So, okay, let's stop it for now, that I can concentrate of talking to you. Maybe one more massage. But the thing is, when you have the sun really, really high, like in this area, like, you know, midday, and this is tinted here on the top, yes, but it still blinds you. So I would recommend driving this vehicle with like sports sunglasses, which are really close to your eyes, you know, and really cover the whole thing. This car needs to be driven with sunglasses. Then it's actually fine. But just to mention that. But it's so unique here. You can argue, of course, about that if it's really necessary to do that, but it is a standing out vehicle, definitely. Some things are maybe over the top, but they're also interesting. And then here you have some microfiber cover here in a special pattern here. This is also, look at that, how it's dampened here, like really deep underneath, really very well done. Matte woody again, I love that trim. Then it seems like it doesn't have a glove box, but it does have one. And then you can, just one short press, there we go. Yeah, I can set it here to the favorite button, for example. This also folds down smoothly, some space here like this. This middle console is also very interesting. Here, armrest, soft enough. Then some space underneath for USB-C charging. You can slide this one forward. And then cup holders, they're very tight, but also adaptive. And then you can slide this whole thing forward here and have a look. I mean, look at that. And this one even goes, you can almost lose your arm in there. This is really crazy. And then of course you can also move it back again. What about physical interface? There is one here for the volume control, for example, and also glad to have physical temperature unit right here. So it's easy to control by driving. This here, all the thing for the massage. And then you have this lower screen here where you can set the basic stuff, for example. You can always have the hotkey here to vehicle functions like this. Here you can set the driving modes, but you can also set the hotkey at the steering wheel, for example. Climate functions like this. You can also do it like this, but I would always do it here in the physical way in the lower part. Then you have here the map, actually. Beautiful island of Majorca. Really beautiful place, definitely in the Mediterranean Sea. This is software version 3.4.4. I heard that from 3.5 it's also supposed to offer Apple CarPlay, because at this moment here we cannot show you Apple CarPlay yet, but obviously want to retrofit that, so that will be interesting. And it will be also interesting if they will retrofit the shortcuts here to the drive assist stuff, safety features, this one, yeah, that you can because at the moment you have to go in here to deactivate it. But I would also wish to put it here on the hotkeys, and they say they plan to also offer it that you can press the hotkey and then, for example, deactivate the EU speed chime law and so on. And then you have this top unit here. So this is like the digital instrument where you can see the speed. Left side is also a touch screen where you can also set your trip meter and so on. But you can also control it once again from the steering wheel with the left button here, which is like a sliding button, but maybe not the most practical thing to do. Left side is also for touch. And then here I have another touch screen. And sometimes you wonder, okay, like this is like one map, and then you have the map here, so which one to use? It depends. I mean, this is more in your line of sight. Here you can select this one and then play video, and then you have this, and
the massage is going
the massage is starting. Then you have, wow, this is a great animation. I mean, it's not necessary, but it's cool to see. You hear the waves, and it's also very well done how this one interacts basically with the lower screen that goes like through this whole animation. You have the sound also here, and then you can maybe relax at the charging stop and so on. So you can make use of this one here to the full potential. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, why not? And then you also have other schemes like this, well-being, maybe stargazing. Let's take a look at that.
Let's be inspired and feel a connection to the universe.
Oh.
You are now seated in gravity. As you take a breath in, see a bright, shining star in front of you. A unique, strong, beautiful star
There it is.
With all of its wisdom, just like you.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Take a nice deep breath in, all the way down to the bottom of your belly. And as you exhale, move away from the star. With each exhale, move further away and start seeing other stars in the
Session with
periphery.
Thomas here, yeah.
Yeah, relaxing yoga session with Thomas. So yeah, there's a lot of to discover right here. So once again, you can say it's maybe over the top on the one hand, but you can play around with it and everything works pretty reliable. It's also very quick. And my favorite, definitely, the seat massage. I'm not sure if you could hear that on the microphone, but this is like the vibration again. So see you soon while driving. That's the stuff. With the trunk or the boot, because this is really spectacular and solutions I have never seen in this fashion before. So here, this is the normal boot length. Soon also going to take the measurements, but here, step one, head restraint goes down and pull this one forward. Here, head restraint goes down, and then even more tricky, this one here, I can lift it away, and then there's, for example, the charging cable underneath. You can also store it in the front if you don't want to use it as a picnic station. And then here you can take these all away, because then you have space to let these seats here sink in the last seating row. This is very special. This PC, by the way, has the tendency to fall off, so you have to watch that a little bit. So then push this one down. So then I have this area already quite even. This gap will stay here. And now, this is even more interesting, I can use these buttons here, that these seats are folding. I press one first, you can watch it from here, like the left side. There we go, and then it folds down. This is also yeah, pretty impressive, but now Leah opens the door, the right side, and I can press the other button, and then you can see what happens here. Look at that. This one goes forward, and then, yeah, I maybe would watch children's hands there, because it's really, hard, but wow, what a mechanism. You can see this is on the floor now, and that's why it goes so low down then. And look at that maximum setup. This is extremely impressive, and you could even put the mattress then in here and have like a camping night. I mean, look at that. You can also then watch the stars at night or something like that. And I mean, this gap here, maybe for the hip area, isn't too bad, because like some mattresses, they are like softer in the hip area. When you put the mattress over on top of here, then this area is automatically softer because it sinks a little bit more in. So maybe that's a good idea. And now let's measure this thing. So the normal trunk length, 70 centimeters, 27 inches. Then the maximum height right here is 35 inches, or a little bit less than 90 centimeters. That's crazy. Also possible because these ones go down. And then, yeah, you might have already expected this. This is the full ruler, 2 meters or 79 inches. And that goes even above that. So this is like, it's like 2 meters 30, or 79 plus 12 inches is 89, 91 inches. Wow, this is crazy. The width here, by the way, a little bit more than 1 meters 10, or like 43, 44 inches. That's crazy. And then when you want to move that all back again, oh, by the way, here there's like a side holes again. When you want to reinstall everything here, you have to basically repeat that like this and like this. That's the way they go up again. Then you pull these. So it's actually not too hard, like this and up. So like this. Then you have your third seating row again. And then the second row, this gets a little bit trickier. So here you have to pull up, and this needs a lot of strength actually, like this. And then you can see once again this mechanism, how this one moves to the floor. So pretty clever engineering. And then like this. And the hardest part is actually on the other side, because that needs a lot of strength. And it's actually still quite cold outside, but I already took off my jacket because this is my morning workout. I already did this for like the reels and stuff, for the vertical format. And Leah's just enjoying filming it. Oh, there we go. Whew.
Thomas' gym session is done now. Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. Yeah. And remember that we film it in English, long format. We film it in German, long format. And then we do the vertical format in English and in German. And from the vertical, a very short format and a longer format. So basically, I end up doing the whole stuff you've just seen, I think 5 times?
6, I think.
5 or 6 times? So, I don't know. Like I haven't stopped counting. But whew, this is really the thing that, especially when we have a car like this, so much to discover in the second and the third seating row and the trunk and so on, and really cool features. But that is the biggest work part for me. And there were some funny comments recently saying like, oh, this guy is measuring trunks as a job, you know, like, and then, yeah, this probably like life goal is reached. I can earn money with measuring trunks of a car. I wouldn't have expected that, you know, when I grew up in this very rural, small community, you know, and yeah. Funny things happen in life sometimes. Thanks to you, I can measure trunks as a living. Yeah. And by the way, here, to access the third seating row again, here, press this button. Ooh, that one falls, and listen to that. So these motors are pretty loud actually, and then you can access the third seating row. And the thing is, can you actually, I mean, I can move this one here forward a little bit, but can I still sit there in the rear? Maybe I can even move. Oh, look at that. This is even possible. The kids will enjoy that. So gladly, my shoes are all fresh and not dirty. So, and then it is possible here for a tall adult to sit here closely, but it is possible also headroom wise. So this is really a full 7-seater, which could house 7 tall adults. That is possible, and it's actually not too uncomfortable here in the rear. You even have some cup holders and so on, have that view to the panoramic roof. So astonishingly, that really works. And you can also adjust these a little bit here. Pull a little bit more backward in the angle here, adjustment. So, well, kind of impressed with that indeed. And the special thing about the second seat row, first of all, here we also have the laminated windows in the rear. Then this one opens 90 degrees. And that's great for getting in and out of the vehicle. And of course, also if you want to install some child seats, then here everything covered with leatherette, fabric insert, beautiful matte wood. So the interior here also everything covered at the inside of the door with leatherette. That's how it's supposed to be with such a premium vehicle. Then you can change the inclination here manually. This is not the most high-class lever though, so this is like one disappointment maybe, but then again, great leatherette seating surface here, nice quality, very soft, isofix outside, and also here the middle seat is huge. Look at that width here, so you can easily sit here also in the middle. This is probably yeah, one of the widest middle seats I've seen. Just the back part is a little bit harder than the outsides. You can fold down this one. Cup holders are not adaptive though, gotta say that. And then here to the seat as I'm driving, this is still a lot of legroom left. You also have a separate climate unit here in the middle part with this digital control, for example, seat heating as well, even floor. And then there's 2 more features actually here. First of all, I have this electric shade here. It's always a cool feature. Then just put down here the window lever control, and then it goes down again. Let's see how far this window goes down, by the way. That's it. So it doesn't go that much down, but maybe also good for the kids, you know. And then, talking about the kids, here you have a table. And this actually, I mean, it is, you see, it's very low. So I have to put my knees then to the side. But this is actually pretty cool for working then. If, you know, I have some time somewhere, maybe a charging stop, you go to the rear and then you start working with the laptop here. It is also a very stable mechanism, and that's like pro and con, because these hinges here, they are very stable because they are 2. But because they are 2, you also have to be careful with your kids, because this should not happen here, you know. So this is like a children bone breaker, so to speak, in the fingers. So yeah, whenever we're driving with the kids here in the rear, I mean, it is properly stored here. You need to put it out like this, but you should teach your kids that they should not interfere with their fingers right here. Yeah, but then again, this is the very stable solution. Sometimes these tables, when they are just like attached with one hinge here, they're like wobbling around and so on. So this is definitely pro and con. But here also a lot of headroom left. So no problem at all, and it's a very comfortable, pleasant experience here in the rear. So such a travel mobile. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, you can play some music with these electric motors, definitely, because they're so loud. By the way, Leah just noticed that here, look at that, how this area stays open when you open the trunk area, and then also like the form right here, and also when you close it again. So which car does that resemble? There is one vehicle from a German premium manufacturer, also electric, also SUV, which has the same mechanism. It's cut out like this here, and then exactly this area here stays open. And I exactly knew what Leah meant. So tell me in the comments, which car does that resemble, this area here when the trunk opens and closes? Tell me in the comments, and then we'll discuss that. All right, sprint mode.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is a huge, huge, huge vehicle. And yeah, sprints like a sports car. Official is 3.6 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour. And yeah, you don't see that coming. Totally don't see that coming. Can go back to the smooth mode again to gain some more comfort. And you heard it. It also triggered the Leah meter, definitely. So we're beginning a little bit on the motorway. And we do have the 3-chamber air suspension here, so the most comfortable setup as for the suspension, also with rear axle steering. Feel that very helpful when parking in and out and so on. However, we do have 22-inch wheels in the front, as we've shown you initially, 23-inch wheels in the rear. That, of course, then makes the ride a little bit stiffer again. So it depends, you know. So you should rather go with the smaller wheels if you want even more comfort. It's very silent, I can already tell you so far here. So we have the dual insulation, both front and rear windows. Now here on the brakes, outside, then this sporty steering wheel, Formula 1 style definitely. But the good thing is that, you know, since it's flat, it's unusual, but it's also an unusual vehicle. Then you can have a clear view to the digital instruments and see the speedometer and so on. So that all has advantages, and also it's more room for my legs in the lower part when I put the steering wheel a little bit lower. Here, this is of course very good here in the roundabout. Sometimes you need some spontaneous acceleration or instant acceleration that you can get in and out and of the roundabout very quickly. And there we go, and we are out again. And it's a super smooth and very silent experience. That's pretty cool. We do some more motorway very soon and also keep it steady. Then we'll also do some efficiency tests and so on. About the regenerative braking, so there is a significant difference between these modes, and also very important to know, like in basically any other EV except the early Teslas. Meanwhile, Tesla has also changed it, but obviously Lucid not, because when it's on off, you know, it's rolling when you go off the throttle, but when you then hit the brake, there is no regenerative braking. When I go to standard and leave the throttle, there is significant regenerative braking, and also in a very, very strong way. And high would be even stronger, and it also stops until 0 for a true one-pedal driving. So in this case, probably I would leave it with the standard setting. That's not that crazy hard, also for the passengers, but you can still have the efficiency gains by the regenerative braking. I'm a little bit disappointed that it doesn't have the regeneration when you hit the brake pedal, because obviously it just uses the friction brakes then. That's very interesting. Now here, steady motorway, 100 kilometers an hour. Let's do a lane change here. Pretty quick. Steering is a little bit inconsistent in a way, I would say, that it feels a little bit unnatural. So not consistent in a way of that it does the same thing at every degree angle, you know what I mean? So I think they can fine-tune the feeling for that. It's super silent here. at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, it feels like we would be literally standing still. I hear nothing from the outside, literally nothing. And the tarmac here in Mallorca, Spain, that beautiful Mediterranean island, is actually quite rough tarmac. So, but there's no rolling noise at all. So that's pretty interesting. Then let's set here the adaptive cruise control and also with the active steering assist. Let's see how smooth it is. Yeah, some corrections here. Now the motorway makes a slight right bend, then a slight left bend again. See how smooth this one is being done. So far so good. Also keeping the distance to the car in front of us. And by the way, if I want to adjust temperature, it's also easily done while driving like this. I'm really happy to have the physical dials there as well. Blind spot monitor in the side mirrors there. BYD overtaking us. Pretty loud motorcycle. Hear nothing from the outside. By the way, this panoramic glass in the front while driving, it's actually pretty cool on the one hand. So for traveling, you know, and like looking at the landscape, that's beautiful. The only thing is when the sun is standing really high, yes, it's tinted, but the sun still can potentially blind you from the very top area there. So it's a little bit pro and con as for this concept. We said the same with the Tesla Model X actually. So the main thing about this ride is that it's super relaxing, because this is like an electric travel mobile. Yes, it can be lightning quick, as we've shown to you initially, but it makes you actually just want to relax. It doesn't make you want to use that power. It just, you know, we can also cancel the cruise control again, by the way. I think once on the brake, yeah. So this one here really tells you, let's go on a long road trip. Enjoy the air suspension, enjoy the super silent ride, and just relax and take these panoramic views to the outside. So I could very well imagine this one also on a US road trip if you have the charging stations. You know, there's always a problem if you don't have a Tesla in the US. Where's the next charging station? So there, Europe did more with the non-Tesla infrastructure, definitely. But you know, there's also the thing that now more and more manufacturers beside Tesla start to use the Tesla infrastructure also in the US. So if you have like an EV, a non-Tesla EV in the US, you can also share your experience with us then. It's so smooth when you change the lanes that sometimes don't even realize what you're doing because the car is so silent. That's pretty cool. So relaxation and silence, these are the key elements about this vehicle. You do feel it's a huge and heavy vehicle on the one hand, yes, but the light steering and also rear axis steering, that helps you counterbalance this effect. And you can also, you know, easily maneuver this car, of course, with the throttle, just super smooth. And also, if you like, in the acceleration, then next lane change and so on. The regenerative braking standard setting is to me a little bit too rough, maybe. So once again, my favorite setting would be if there would also be an off setting in a way that I can just use the brake pedal, and that's actually it. But this is a very good motorway car, so we'll soon catch up with more agile driving and so on, and see if this vehicle here, although it's actually quite large, can still master that. However, here, this motorway is now allowing a little bit higher speed. I also want to test that. Ooh, lane keeping assist is super harsh, but although I was, you know, hitting the turning indicator first, you can also deactivate it, but so far they don't have good hotkeys for that. Also, this speed chime thing, EU speed chime law, not easy to deactivate yet. They're planning to also introduce that for the hotkey here at the steering wheel, that you can also easily change it with that. Additional blind spot monitor, by the way, here with the camera in the instruments is also a good thing. Learned that from Hyundai, Kia and Genesis, basically. It's a good feature to have this additional blind spot warning right there. Now we can also switch back again. See here, also good view to the side mirrors. Actually also decent view from to the rear, you know. It's a little bit blocked, but just, you know, not too much. And super silent once again in the motorway. It's a very pleasant experience. Some traffic here today in Mallorca. I think the left lane is ending right now. I have to be a little bit careful, but you know, especially these, they're like the commercial vehicles. They're like, I use the last chance, right? yeah, and then situations like these arise actually from that. Leah also seems to be very relaxed. Yeah. So we can go on a very long road trip now, and she can maybe also like start sleeping or then watch outside of this panoramic view. By the way, if you use the shade here, yeah, it doesn't do that much, honestly. So this is a vehicle where it is basically mandatory to wear sunglasses. So only for very cool people, you know. Yeah, about that. Yeah, this also road, like run-off road protection thing is actually reacting in a very, very sensitive way. Again, you have to be very gentle with the throttle because, you know, as soon as you lift it, there's so hard recuperation already in the standard setting there. So that's definitely one thing to consider. So now we can also drive 120 kilometers an hour as soon as we're allowed to. So about like 70 miles an hour, and we'll also do this efficiency test for you. There's like the other lane opening, so that's pretty good because that's the maximum speed that is allowed here today on this island. At a later stage we can also do a test on the German Autobahn, for example. And now here, about 120 kilometers an hour, that doesn't change anything, you know. Sometimes it changes a lot with vehicles, but it's like nothing. It's probably maybe one of, if not at this speed at least yet, the most silent vehicles I've ever driven, I think. This is might be even better in this low noise level than the Mercedes S-Class, I think. It's like nothing. You hear absolutely nothing from the outside. So that is pretty impressive. Now some agile driving. I'll go to the Swift mode because that one has this cornering symbol right here.
This one is for the Swifties.
Oh, for the Swifties, yeah. So let's go here. And we have to always watch here the cyclists because here on Mallorca they are pretty frequent actually. But then there also is some cornering in there, and you know, up to about 3 degrees the rear axle steering goes in the opposite direction at low speeds, especially of course for parking in and out and so on. And of course I'll be eager to hear Leah's feedback soon as well, and also watching her face if it's still good or not so good. Yeah, we will see after some corners here. I mean, it's a heavy vehicle, it's a large vehicle, beautiful views here by the way outside. So this Cap Formentor, the northern east tip of the island of Mallorca, so very beautiful views out there. This is of course good then with the panoramic windscreen, but yeah, as I said, the steering could be more natural in how it, you know, reacts from different degree angles. You do feel that you move something large and with a lot of weight around. So it's not that only because of a low center of gravity and because of very fast acceleration or quick acceleration it suddenly would diminish the weight or something. On the motorway, as I said, I felt it's a good, like, straight travel vehicle. And here, for me as a driver, I would say like it's fine, but it's not like in a way of this is the car I would get for having fun in driving, you know what I mean? Which you probably also, when you look at it from the exterior, cannot really expect. Therefore, I think the steering is not precise enough, and the weight and the size is just too high, and it's not really optimized for agile driving. Considering, you know, with the technology, with the air suspension and the rear axle steering, they try to get or squeeze as much as possible out of it. And the good thing is, especially on these tight roads, I mean, I have a good view, you know, so I can see everything very well. This is also a good safety thing, of course, you know. Leah doesn't look too happy, or
I would say I'm fine.
she's fine.
But it's
she's
more
fine.
for motorway straight, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I've seen Leah worse.
Especially for a passenger, yeah.
I've seen Leah worse, but
For a shorter trip, then it's fine, but yeah.
So I've seen it worse with Leah, but
Yeah.
I've also seen it better. So yeah, let's say that. And that's also my opinion. You know, there are vehicles that are performing worse in agile driving, but definitely also those that perform better. Considering the size, I think it's still okay, but you feel that it's not like the specialty of this vehicle. Let's take it that way. But once again, it's getting quite windy up there. You can also see it here at the shirts of the cyclist, and that is something that you don't hear at all in this car. I wonder how it will be, because on the motorway we could do maximum 120 kilometers an hour, maximum like around 70 miles an hour. Today, wonder if it will still be the case at really, really high speeds. We'll see about that when we have the car once again in Germany. What is, by the way, good again, that you can accelerate out of the corners in a very nice way. So because you have this abundance of power, you can push it out of the corners quite easily. But you always have to think about your passengers, because since this one has so much power, have to be always gently with the throttle, not to put more stress on your passengers. And if you wonder, by the way, should you think, hey, this is pretty cool what I see here, exterior, interior, driving and so on, but I want something just smaller from Lucid. They have just announced that they want to massively invest in the mid-size segment to also bring more affordable and smaller cars for you. Price, efficiency, real-world range, and what's the main use case of this vehicle? So first of all, the pricing starts in Europe just under 100,000 euros for the small battery. And then the big battery here is already more expensive, and that is starting at 117,000 euros. However, the car as it stands here right now is just under 150,000 euros with all the extras. The US prices are a little bit more likable, starting at $80,000, or then for the Grand Touring here for the big battery at $95,000. However, you know the North American prices are always without the VAT. Then for the efficiency test, that's why I'm looking at the phone right now. So we did 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, motorway, and also with topographic equalization. And there we could score some 23 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. Means for this large battery a range of 540 kilometers or 340 miles. Then at 120 kilometers an hour, 75 miles per hour, so a little bit quicker, more like a German motorway speed. Okay, that's probably then even faster. So there we could score some 27 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour would mean at that speed a real range for the large battery of 450 kilometers or 280 miles. It is a large vehicle. There are more efficient EVs out there. Of course, here also with the largest tires, 22 in the front, 23 in the rear. Yes, the width is all the same. However, these large openings there, of course, they make a big difference then, you know, also for the aerodynamic efficiency. You still have to think about like that you are moving a really large vehicle, you know, also with a huge frontal area and so on. So it has a big battery. It's not the most efficient one. There are more efficient ones out there, but due to the big battery, you can still take it on a long road trip and so on. And also it recharges extremely quickly, as we told you earlier, some 23, 24 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge. The entry-level battery would be maybe attractive if that's making sense for special taxation things in your country. Other than that, you have to say, because of the efficiency and also for the range, the big battery in a way makes more sense for this vehicle, that you can still get some nice range out of this vehicle. It has the air suspension tech, the rear axle steering and so on, and is also, at least at these speeds we drove today, very silent. Gotta see how it is maybe at even higher speeds in Germany, for example, how silent it is then in the interior. They have an astonishing interior build quality. That's definitely great. It is not thought to be like the most agile car in driving and so on. I mean, look at that. It's more like this family van. So if you think about using that large battery, going straight, having a silent and relaxed ride, that's what it's for. The main problem will be that they need to find customers who are willing to pay these prices, especially in Europe, when there are also more affordable alternatives. Yes, maybe they are smaller, but maybe they still do the job. What is definitely true is here that you are very flexible, especially with the third seating row, that you can hide them again, that you have then 2 seats more suddenly again. So that's actually the strength of this vehicle. What do you think about the Lucid Gravity? Tell me in the comments. Now check out some other large EVs here.